Hello and welcome to Amateur Esports Organization. Tonight we're bringing you Sunday Scrims. It's actually going to be our first stream since we rebranded, formerly known as Overwatch University League. I'm Pim of the Crib, and joining me today is Labasco and Ham Tornado. How you guys
Heyo.
How you guys doing?
Doing great. Tired but excited.
Yeah, you've been having a long day of casting, and Labasco, it's great to see you back here in the studio, I guess, the virtual studio.
It's good to be back and excited. Obviously, like you said, brand name change, but all for good reasons, and excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, I've been just
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I'm excited, for this rebranding, and hopefully, things will be going good for the better, and we're gonna see some great games tonight. As Sunday Scrims is an event where we have team sign up, and we kind of pair up into small brackets based on their average SR of the team. So for this tournament, we actually had 4 brackets. We're just gonna call them A, B, C, and D, and we're gonna be bringing you our Group C. So these teams are going to be in the Platinum range. We're going to have Skynet, the Choke Pokers, Squid Squad, and the 8 of Clubs. And for our first match, we're going to be seeing Skynet going up against the 8 of Clubs in our first match. So they're actually on the opposite spectrums, as 8 of Clubs has an average SR of about 2,500, so just at that borderline gold plat area, while on the other side we have Skynet is actually at about 2964, so they're going to be pretty close to that. Oh, I got an invite. Sorry, guys, for that volume there. That was a little confused me as well. I was like, who's inviting me? But anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, so we got this bracket, and it's going to be a 4-map series, so they're going to play one of each map, kind of how Overwatch League does it. We're going to start with Hybrid, go to Escort, Control, or no, Hybrid, Assault, Control, Escort, and if needed, Control Tiebreaker. So we're going to be following, that Overwatch League format, and for that first map, we're going to be seeing King's Row from these teams, so another invite, jeez.
So popular, Pimp.
Yeah, I don't...
People trying to pimp you out today, apparently.
Yeah, it seems like I probably have to start appearing offline. But as I was saying, we are going to be seeing King's Row as our first map going in. So, King's Row, what are we going to expect maybe from these like platinum teams? We're not going to be seeing the same as we're going to be seeing as like Overwatch League, where you see all sorts of. I mean, I guess now the meta is like pretty balanced. You can see a lot of different compositions, but I feel like here we're going to see a bit more Pharah in this platinum play, because there's not as much. The aim's a little bit off, the mechanical skills not as much as you would see in the Grandmaster, but I see a lot of Pharah here, and definitely a lot of Junkrat coming out from teams in this area. This is actually the SR that I'm in, as well as Labasco, and I think you too, Ham Tornado. I think we're all dirty plats here who play us pretty well.
Yeah.
But King's Row is one of the most common maps in the game. People call it the Dust 2 of Overwatch.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it, is that it is the Dust 2 of Overwatch, because it's one of those maps that's put in that same level as that one. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good way of putting it. And it's unfortunate we haven't really seen it yet in Overwatch League, so it's nice that we get a chance to see it here, Ham.
Yeah, definitely. King's Row, been feeling a dearth of London fog in my life, and now we're finally going to catch up a little bit on that doom and gloom. No, it's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to this. Maybe we'll even see a bit of a Reinhardt play. Not something that not a hero who's really been strong in the meta for quite some time, and so really looking forward to that.
The nice thing here is, especially depending on the SR, even we're seeing at the Overwatch League level, so it doesn't really matter the SR, is teams tend to play what they're comfortable with. So you can sometimes get some comps that, even though it's not in the meta, can do really well. I think a good example of that to compare is for Overwatch League is a team like the Dallas Fuel. We've seen them run a comp that a lot of people are questioning. Why do they keep running it? But they keep doing it, and they finally got their first win. So it can work.
I mean, playing to your strengths is definitely something that has become more and more viable as Overwatch has matured as a game. Gone are the days, when everybody is playing like that triple tank or that, 2-2-2 dive, and you have to conform to this meta if you want to, get anywhere because the hero balance is not quite there. But nowadays, you can have a lot more leeway. Speaking of Dallas Fuel, they basically I feel like the strategy was basically they just said, effect, what kind of DPS do you want to play? And then just built the entire team around that and played around his pick ability on that Widowmaker, especially on a Horizon Lunar Colony. That was super obvious. The fact that like nobody would come out of that small hole until, effect was able to get situated. And that's when, it was go time for Defuel.
Yep, and one thing to point out too, it looks like your London fog that you want to see, it's going to have to wait. We're actually going to go to Hollywood as our first map. So how does that change things, though, Ham, compared to if we were at Kings Row? Does that change what maybe you look to do with those comps? Because even though we've talked about how you pick things you're more comfortable with, there's still the maps themselves that sort of dictate what you have to pick for certain situations.
Oh yeah, you still have to be aware of your environment, use the map geography to your advantage. For example, running a Soul defensive 76 on this first point defense, very strong. In that little cafe area, you can camp there. Soldier can throw down that biofield, help have that symbiotic relationship with his supports, keep them alive, they keep him alive, right? Very difficult to dive. But when you move into the streets phase, verticality becomes a lot bigger of an issue. So if you were running that kind of hunker and bunker pick style defense with maybe an Orisa Hog, something like that, you maybe want to switch that up to more of those mobile dive tanks like a Winston D.Va.
And
so
something
that is a good point.
Yes, and something you can see too, Ham, is because you were talking about verticality. There is verticality, at least enough for a Pharah onto the point as well. So you can see a Pharah start to run really at the beginning of this and maybe continue on, depending on what the team decides that they want to do and how the Pharah is working. So that's always a pick that we might be able to see as well here if somebody can play Pharah on either team.
Yeah, right off the bat, you're clairvoyant right there. Joe on the side of the defense. 8 of clubs going to be in the blue, already has committed to that Rocket Queen. Whack T1 going to be bringing up his back there in the air. 2 of them going to be supplemented on the ground by Novacat's Orisa and Mammoth Gamers Roadhog. So kind of covering a lot of the points that we were earlier talking about as we see Overnight Coder on the Soldier 76. Anything surprising from the attacking side, or not too much?
Well, I would say the one thing, but in this level, Moira's pretty good, so Moira's always the one that kind of surprises me a little, as Shushi will start off getting the elimination onto Jojo. So good start here, the 6-on-5, and now going aggressive is the side of Skynet. Quickly res those Jojo.
Yeah, Whack-T, thankfully, Jojo fell on the correct side of the choke for the defense, able to res them up, but he lives just to die again. Shushi finds that Rocket Queen in the air once again, and this Pharah is such an incredible threat. Already we see Jojo swapping off onto that Reaper for a little bit more damage, going to focus on the ground game slightly more, which would definitely be a good pick for Watchful One, who's going to be on that Winston.
And now you have the dive coming in here aggressively on the side of Skynet, but the kill's starting to go onto the side of 8 of clubs, and Whack-T able to get the res onto Hollywood Simpson to keep both supports up, and it's going to be a failure here on this first actual push in onto the point by the side of Skynet and getting caught out with Shushi, so that will stagger them as well.
Yeah, great stagger for 8 of clubs. They're holding strong in their defense so far. We do see Watchful One going to be swapping onto that Reinhardt, give his Widowmaker a little bit more protection, a little bit more room and time to get some work done in the backline, as they're going to be relying on the Widowmaker and this Tracer to try and open things up.
So now you have the shield battle happening here. Going in as Watchful does get the pin, but gets killed instantly off of it by Mammoth Gamer. But a good pulse bomb by Captain Crunch gets both the main takes down, but the kill's still going in onto the side of Skynet as they're keeping this defense strong here with 2:12 left to go. And just kind of waiting for the respawns to come back. Shushi gets caught again up on top for the stagger.
Yeah, at this point, Shushi being more of a liability than an asset to his team. We do see, there we go, swap onto the McCree now for maybe a little bit more utility damage here. Now that the Pharah is out of the game, McCree an excellent hero to try and challenge out JoJo's Reaper. But all during this poke, Skynet only will have that Valkyrie online versus 8 of Club's 4 ultimates, 2 big tank ults, as well as the Valkyrie and that tack visor. So Skynet gonna have to play this very carefully.
So they come around here on the left side, getting hooked in and taken out with Watchful One as you have the ult starting to come out. Valkyrie by Hazard to keep his player up as they try to push onto the point here to have that shield battle going on. Still Watchful One just waiting for his team to get some eliminations. Finally starting to come in onto the side of Skynet as they look to finally get onto this point.
Yeah, there we go. That was what Skynet needed. Shushi showing up big on this McCree, excuse me. First off, able to pick Whack T's Mercy out of the fight immediately, and then not only that, he's also able to shut down Overnight's tack visor, so that Soldier 76 not going to be getting any value from that ult. But defense is not going to be worrying too much. They still have both support ultimates and that Death Blossom online. However, Skynet will be able to answer with Watchful's Earth Shatter and that Graviton Surge that Hobbs has finally built up here.
Did 8 of Clubs just not utilize the ultimates they had in that last fight? Well, they'll see if they can utilize them here as Skynet uses the Graviton Surge, doesn't get much on it, and then comes in the Earth Shatter to get a couple, and the follow-up thereafter. JoJo coming in with the Death Blossom, does get 3, but the fight's still in favor of Skynet here, just swinging away as Watchful does get taken out, but finally the cart will move as the DPS still alive for Skynet.
Yeah, that was an incredible ult showdown. Unfortunately, though, the Death Blossom coming in just a little bit too late after all those big tank ultimates. So although Joe gonna be putting in, a very good paper for his play of the game application, he's not going to be doing too much to help his team defend. However, Skynet lost so many players that they needed a full regroup once again. So 8 of Clubs will be able to re-establish their defense.
They do start to get to the corner here with it. Overnight Coder does get the early pick on the Captain Crunch to give the early 6-on-5 to the side of 8 of Clubs as they continue their defense here. 2 minutes left to go. Big hook coming in, but able to get away was Lucy. So not enough follow-up there.
Yeah, close thing though, is that Zenyatta is so incredibly vulnerable to that Roadhog hook, but Biohazard wants to keep the pressure up, pops that Valkyrie, brings 2 members from the attacking side back into the fight immediately, and they even threw the trans out there. Very interesting ultimate decision making here, as it was a 3v5, optimistically, but a 3v5 is going to become a, 2v2, 3v3, when Captain Crunch and the Deadeye come out there. Huge pulse bomb, but the Deadeye from Overnight Coder answering back in just the same. However, both of these teams fighting so hard, they wiped each other. So again, it's going to be back to the drawing board for both sides.
When you look at it for Whack T, was able to hold on to that Valkyrie ult until the right time. Like you were saying before, you had the one used by Biohazard. How important is it to hold on to that ult?
Oh man, support ultimates is all about that mind game. The Zenyatta or the Mercy who can hold that ultimate longer, pop it second, will give their team such a huge advantage. However, here Skynet now with less than a minute on the line, going with a different engagement, but Watchful One going to be cut down immediately right off the bat. Now JoJo, there we go.
He kindly gets a good depth blossom there. The kill's still coming in, though, for the side of Skynet, as JoJo still trying to do damage. It's him and Captain Crunch, and finally able to clear off the cart and finally get it moving again as Skynet, but they don't have a lot of time left here, Ham.
They don't have a lot of time, but Shushi on that Widowmaker has popped off in that last moment, and now she's going to have a perfect shooting gallery into this choke. Novacast going to have his work cut out for him, trying to keep all of his backline safe with this Reinhardt, but he's going to have to contend with Captain Crunch. Pulse Bomb comes out, not going to pick up anything, but Shushi, finds both supports in the back.
2 big support kills here as Skynet pushing towards that second point. Novacast is trying to use his shield to keep himself in contest for as long as possible, but he gets hit by the hammer and flies away as he gets taken out. As a minute 26 here to push on to that final point for Skynet, and just trying to get set up here for an early defense is the side 8 of clubs if they're going to have to retreat here, but trying to catch them out is Skynet as they push in with the pin of Watchful One. Doesn't get anybody, but Captain Crunch will find Overnight Coder and then Hollywood Simpson as they were just detached from the rest of their team in the hallway there. When you got a hammer from a Reinhardt, not a good place to be, Ham.
Yeah, indeed. Skynet gonna have to watch out for that, but no, Overnight Color should have been watching out more. Watchful One lands that Fire Strike onto the McCree, so 8 of clubs once again not going to be able to restabilize without that long range damage to challenge out Shushi. She has the Infrasight, wall hacks her up for the attacking team, and yet again, Captain Crunch, the DPS for Skynet, have been unstoppable this entire game. Now Watchful is gonna show us how the tanks get it done for this attacking side. 30 seconds left on the clock, but Skynet look ready to put this in third.
Oh, the counter Reinhardt Earth Shatter coming in on the side of Novacast. Not a lot of follow-up, but it does allow Wack T to get the Winston back up. Swinging away is Novacast. The Valkyrie ult still going for Skynet as now they have the Lucio sound barrier coming in as well, trying to clear off this point. 8 seconds left to go, but Shushi getting Jojo getting the one pick here. Self-destruct thrown in, takes care of the Winston barrier. Winston going down afterwards. Novacast here gets his shield dropped, and Watchful One with the Earth Shatter able to get a follow-up kill onto it, onto Wack T, so no res is going to be coming here. Hollywood Simpson just trying to stay on the point and keep things going. Jojo coming in very close to the Dragon Blade, but doesn't have it yet. Gets taken out beforehand here as Skynet pushing those final few meters, and a good shot to end it too by Captain Crunch along with Shushi to finally capture it in overtime.
Incredible. Skynet, you saw that they were a little bit stubborn in their point A push. It was looking like they might not even cap the first point of Hollywood. 8 of clubs would have performed a miracle full hold, but once that payload got rolling, 8 of clubs struggled so hard to put a stop to it for even a second. And moving into that third point, Shushi's Widowmaker definitely helped seal the deal along with Captain Crunch, these 2 DPS from Skynet. 8 of clubs just didn't have any kind of answer to them. Overnight Coder trying his best to challenge out the Widowmaker on that McCree, but the damage drop-off is just too great for that Cowboys 6-shooter. And unfortunately, he also has to keep an eye out for Captain Crunch, who is constantly being a monster in the backline. So 8 of clubs going to have their work cut out for them, but they still have a chance. Skynet finished out the map with no time left in the clock.
How big of an impact is that to have it go into that overtime counter if you are the team that defends first?
I mean, that's huge. It means if you can also finish out that map, I mean, you guarantee yourself an attacking phase, and Skynet will only be playing for that tie. So the mental game is strong. 8 of clubs, their win condition is clear. They have to finish out this map and try again in round 3 to see what they can get done.
Well, it looks like we're going to see a very interesting comp out of them if they stick with what they have right now. Jojo playing right now on the Genji, and that's really the only dive character that they have on the side of 8 of clubs. When you look at this comp that they're looking to maybe run here, Ham, what is it that their goal is? They do have to the Doomfist.
This is actually a really interesting mixed comp. Orisa Zarya, not something we see run very often. Usually the off tank that goes along with that Orisa is the Roadhog. That halt into hook combo is extremely powerful, almost a guaranteed pick every single time. And the 2 DPS as well. Mammoth on that Doomfist along with Jojo on that Genji. They both are diving heroes, but Doomfist is going to be entirely dependent upon his team keeping him safe, because once his cooldowns are gone, there we go, he's going to have a free trip back to respawn.
And a good start to the defense here for Skynet, and a good dive in using the Watchful One using his charge to get the Mercy. When you get that Mercy kill, you know you're usually going to win that fight.
Oh, absolutely. What great accuracy. As a Ryan main, it always, warms the cockles of my heart to see him, turn Mercies into paste. It's kind of morbid, but, it's German engineering. Anyhow, 8 of clubs, though. We do see a switch. Jojo, no! Oh, right off the bat, he's going to eat a Fire Strike and immediately go down once again. 8 of clubs having a really hard time engaging as a full 6-man set.
And Captain Crunch, too, Ham, has been sneaking over by stairs while by the choke and really not realizing that that Eight of Clubs is there has been, Eight of Clubs hasn't realized that he's been there on Captain Crunch. So how big is that to not see that call and that Tracer just able to poke away and run away?
This Tracer, I mean, the results of his efforts are clear already with the Pulse Bomb out. Oh, not going to pick up anything, but the rest of his team has already put in the kills. Lucy on this Ana, actually a really unusual support pick in the meta these days, actually manages to pick up a couple kills, and Skynet just making everything look so easy, cleaning up all of those staggered attacking players. Eight of Clubs, they're running out of time, just a little less than 2 minutes.
Not a lot of time. Hollywood Simpson out of mech right now. Look like Simpson's going to just head back to the spawn and remech themselves that way, as Skynet holding up here still on the point, as this next attack here is going to be maybe one of the last ones, maybe one more after this for Eight of Clubs, coming in front of behind Novacast's shield. Still kind of waiting here just a second. They have their entire hero. Mammoth Gamer onto the Widow now as well to try and contest Shushi. See if that ends up working out. You also have the Moira as well, as Mammoth Gamer will get Shushi down, but Captain Crunch will get Mammoth Gamer. So the Widow's out of here, 5v5, but the res comes by Biohazard, and there, the big Earth Shatter again by Watchful One to lead to the follow-up. Novacast coming in with the charge afterwards, but it's too little too late. The picks already came in on the side of Skynet, and having to reset for maybe one more push. Eight of Clubs.
Running out of time, running out of abilities here. Eight of Clubs got soundly wiped, but they'll be happy they at least drew out that Earth Shatter. Skynet sitting at 4 ultimates to their name still, but Eight of Clubs, through their struggles, have worked up to their own Earth Shatter, Junkrat Tire, Valkyrie, and Coalescence. So it's going to be up to them to try and get an early pick before Skynet can use those support ults to sustain the fight out into overtime. 30 seconds now.
30 seconds, like you said, and we know we're going to see a flurry of ults here in this last fight. Shushi still dealing out the damage from up top, has to go on and down below, now shooting off towards the right side. Diving in are the Winston and Devo right onto Shushi. Jojo gets one kill with the Riptire. Good Earth Shatter coming in. Watchful One gets taken out of the fight. Graviton Surge followed up, catches a couple, as the follow-up, though, not coming in from Skynet, and it looks like this will be the take that they've been looking for Eight of Clubs, as the counter builds up, getting that last kill onto Shushi. Valkyrie, all maybe not needed there, but it was used anyways, as they finally take the point.
Yeah, pretty optimistic Valkyrie from Overnight Coder there, but given the struggles Eight of Clubs has in engaging, and just want to make sure you can seal the deal, at least get that point A, then we can worry about Streets phase. But they will have quite a bit to worry about. Biohazard was able to hang on to his own Mercy ult there. Lucy, with this nano boost, still going to be looking to see who they can put it on, as Shushi has swapped onto the Reaper now for the ground battle in Streets phase. Already going up to the high ground, going to look to be raining those Hellfire shotguns down onto the heads of the attackers.
The nano boost put onto the Reinhardt in Watchful One. Pushing forward is his team. They'll get 2 kills, 3 now. Watchful One getting plenty out of that nano boost, enough to force back Eight of Clubs as they retreat back towards their spawn. Shushi now, by the way, onto the Reaper, and we've seen some effect there early on, Ham.
Yeah, absolutely. This Reaper shredding through the tanks of Eight of Clubs. Yeah. The lack of maybe the Zarya hurting them a little bit, as a Diva's defense matrix can only eat so much damage. Watchful has been such a good tank for his team here. His aggressiveness was getting punished in their attacking round, getting hooked quite often, but now it's become a boon for this defense. As there we go, another fatty shatty, and Watchful One swinging away with abandon. This Reinhardt is going absolutely ham, but now the self-destruct is out from Simpson on the cart, trying to buy a little bit more time, as it's less than a minute now.
Finally using the Valkyrie ult is Biohazard for Skynet, trying to keep them up in this fight, and it looks like they're starting to turn the tide here. Not anything from Novacast with the Earth Shatter there, as this will be a cleanup here for Skynet as they continue their defense. Hollywood Simpson just can't do anything but shoot the Baby Diva Blaster and go down, as they see their time dwindling. 30 seconds left on the side of Eight of Clubs.
Yeah, this is down to the line now here. Watchful One has just been swinging away with abandon. Anytime your Reinhardt doesn't need to worry about shielding his team, you gotta watch out there. And Skynet gonna be feeling happy. They still have this Graviton Surge, but Joe with the opportunity to blow this fight open with his team. That tire's on hand. If he gets even a single pick, this is going to be go time for the attackers.
Death Blossom in there now too. That just gets used right after the Graviton Surge came out. Didn't really get a lot, but Riptire did, as their 8 of clubs, finally, once things get to a pressure point, they seem to find a way to not let the pipes burst as they continue to push.
Oh, definitely. I mean, shades of like early LA Valiant, actually. When the cards are on the table, 8 of clubs, when it's overtime, that's the magic condition. That's when things start to move for this team. But even so, they're finally getting the distance. They have to finish out this map at least, and they're going to be running on empty in terms of ultimates. Skynet being very patient here, giving up the distance in order to win the fight, losing the battle so they can take the war as we see the re-engage.
Nothing for the Deadeye from Mammoth Gamer, but another big shatter from Watchful One. Doesn't quite get enough follow-up. The overtime counter still going down here as Watchful One swinging away. The rest of the kills coming in from his team, as well as Hollywood Simpson goes down, and that'll do it. Map number 1 to Skynet, as not able to push it all the way to the end was 8 of clubs. Ham, some great ultimate usage there at the end.
Beautiful ultimate usage. You could tell that Skynet, we don't have a lot of information on these teams, but if we learn that they've played together for quite some time, I wouldn't be surprised. As you can see, they had the plan and the execution was completely on point. Yeah, they got wiped there towards the choke, but they came back in, utilized their tools to their best ability, and that won out the fight. Really quickly, though, I have just Watchful One. I was kind of like, thonkering a little bit when he kept getting hooked out because he was dropping his shield, wanting to, throw in that hammer damage early on. But in this defensive round, he has been insane. In that third fight, there was a Valking Mercy. He caught her with the Fire Strike. That was the second time in a row. Very impressive stuff from that tank.
Not only that, you talk about his ultimate usage. Watchful One, I don't know how many Earth Shatters he had. He ended up getting a card for how many people that he had hit with the Earth Shatter. It was a lot. Let's just put it that way. The ability to do that, but also to have the timing to win that mind game, because it was a Reinhardt versus Reinhardt situation. It's very hard to have the right timing for when to use that Earth Shatter. It seemed like he had it every time.
Yeah, every single time you thought that you were safe, Watchful had that shatter. And even though Reinhardt's no longer really in the meta, he is making it work. Like we mentioned earlier on, kind of some of these off-meta heroes really coming to bear in these games.
When you are playing somebody who's off meta like that, it's important, right, to be able to do that. But what do you have to do? Is it just about knowing the character well? Is that how you make somebody work when maybe it's not the most viable character? How do you make that happen as a player?
That's a pretty good question. In this case, I think we saw that Watchful was just very aware of the weaknesses from the tank line. You saw that, they didn't come into this game just being, superior right out of the box, right off the rack. They struggled quite a bit to get point A, but they figured out their enemy team. They saw maybe kind of the strategies or the weaknesses of their lineup, and they adjusted their play style. I mean, one of the biggest, most surprising things that I saw there was the fact that they chose not to play the high ground game. In fact, Reaper was actually one of the only ones who was bothering to try and climb those buildings at all. The rest of the team was fighting entirely on the ground, and Watchful One, said, hey, this tank player on 8 of clubs, has sometimes difficulty managing the shield, right? So he just, especially when they swapped off onto Orisa for that last push, all you do is, walk past that shield and lay down the hammer, and there's literally no counterplay.
We saw a really good use of that too in Overwatch League as well. Gamsu did it really well. I think it was against the Dallas Fuel, and it's a very high IQ play to know to do that and to get it off effectively. And there's no doubt that Watchful One made some really great plays. But now for 8 of clubs, I mean, it's not like all hope is lost. It's only one map. There's still potentially 3 more. What did you see from them that you liked? But also, what do they need to change going into this next map to give themselves an opportunity to even things up?
I think one of the biggest difficulties that they struggled with on Hollywood was the fact that they were getting picked off early on before they even initiated the fight, right? Skynet was playing something of a very aggressive defense, so that did come to bear a little bit. But now that 8 of clubs, they weathered the first map. They took the L, but it's all right. We have more maps coming their way, and so perhaps we see they go to a map where maybe Joe can play that Junkrat. He was able to get quite a lot of value off of his tires when he was able to build up to that ultimate, and so that might be something that 8 of clubs will be looking to leverage. But keeping the team together, maybe making sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of committing fully to whichever route of engagement that they were going for might help them in the coming maps.
Would it help too? The one thing that I noticed, especially when Skynet was on defense, was we saw that for Captain Crunch, the tracer on Skynet was very off from the team, and in positions where you're very vulnerable as a tracer. Is that something they should be trying to be aware of in trying to get that early pick? Because we talked about how the DPS were super important for Skynet, and especially the tracer having that harass damage is always important. How do you deal with that, especially if you see that this is a tracer that you can maybe exploit?
That's a really good question. I mean, running a McCree is always great for the tracer, or, again, the Junkrat, so deadly to any of those flanking style DPS heroes, tracers, Genjis. You cut off all of those back road routes that they like to take. If you're constantly looking at the ground, worrying about traps and mines, then your head isn't 100% focused in picking up those frags. So again, the Junkrat could be a double-edged sword in not just getting picks from and value from that ultimate, but also protecting your backline a little bit more. Of course, the difficulty with Skynet is that they had so many threats. Every single hero on their team was putting in the work, like extremely deadly. And so 8 of clubs kind of they need to channel Cerberus, grow more heads so they can look in more directions, right?
Right. And now we're going to Horizon will be our next map. So looking at that assault map, some of the things you were saying with the Junkrat and some of the other heroes you were talking about for 8 of clubs that they could potentially play, is there that viability? I think there's a little bit of it, but maybe not to the extent that they would like.
Yeah, Junkrat can be run on Horizon Lunar Colony. I think that when I think about this map, the standout DPS is definitely Widowmaker. So, but unfortunately, that doesn't seem to favor 8 of clubs. Skynet, of course, Shushi showing up to be a very deadly hit scan player.
Yes.
So, very deadly. So not quite sure how 8 of clubs is going to adapt to that. They may just invest wholly in that shield game. We saw that they really preferred to run the Orisa when it came down to it. They were trying to play the Reinhardt battle, but it wasn't quite working out, so they swapped off onto that big metal horse.
And that big metal horse can do some good things for you if used correctly. And the one thing you talked about way earlier when the first map was starting was they didn't use the Roadhog with it. Is that something you'd like to see if they do use the Orisa again from 8 of clubs?
Oh yeah, I mean the Roadhog Orisa combination, the power of that combo can't be denied. I mean, you can also leverage that halt in so many ways to, pull people off of the high ground in order to even line up shots for your Widowmaker, right? She sees the halt come out, where the bodies are going to be. But yeah, if we could see maybe an Orisa Hog come out for 8 of clubs, that might be a little slightly more cohesive, more easy to get value out of those tanks.
Well, we see here that the first thing we're going to see from 8 of clubs appears to be a pretty dive-heavy comp. At least that's what they're showing right now with the Winston Diva. They do have a Junkrat, which actually he can, using his mines, get into pretty good positions. And then you have Joe on the Reaper. And on the other side, you have the Orisa and you have the Roadhog. So you do have that tank combo you were talking about. And Shushi still on that Widowmaker. So this is actually a comp, it looks like, from 8 of clubs that maybe can handle some of the things that we see from Skynet here pretty well.
Yeah, you're right. And Joe, especially swapping off onto that Genji, perhaps they're savvy to Skynet's plan to run Shushi on this Widowmaker. If they can get a good dive going on, a great boop from Hollywood Simpson, maybe to push a couple of people off of that high ground is going to make the task of breaking the Skynet defense so much easier for 8 of Clubs.
Still have Captain Crunch on the Tracer to deal with as well, and Shushi making his presence felt here early on. Novacast going down to the deadly French sniper.
Ooh, really close. The halt went out, you saw, trying to pick up Novacast as he was rezzed, but here we are, the dive coming out from the attacking side, and partially successful. They do lose the Junkrat, so they're deciding to go underneath instead, but with Hollywood Simpson on the objective, they're forcing Skynet to turn their attentions here. The Orisa has dropped down onto the ground, so for the next engagement, this is going to look good for 8 of Clubs.
8 of Clubs, at least with this engagement on the point, starting to get the kills to go in their favor. They do have a shorter distance to go, as they're a good jump on by the Winston. Captain Crunch, though, able to take out Hollywood Simpson, but the pressure still being applied here to Skynet, just looking to try and get Captain Crunch here, trying to stall for his team, and it's working so far, as the kills coming in for Skynet now after it looked like it was going to be advantage 8 of Clubs.
Oh, that's unfortunate. 8 of Clubs not quite able to pick up a tick there in their first engagement, but they've worked their way up to nearly a couple of ultimates. Skynet, though, as you said, it looked like they might just be giving up that point A, but they were determined to try and make their stand. And this crucially will give Watchful plenty of time to set up the defensive shield once again on this high ground.
Deservedly so. Captain Crunch on fire, sneaking around with a pulse bomb as well. Whack T does have the Valkyrie all up here before Tech Soup, so that could be used here as the Winston jumping in now for the dive, popping the Winston Rage as Hobbs will go down here, or will take down Mammoth Gamer, who's quickly res by the Valkyrie ult. As Captain Crunch gets taken down by Novacast, JoJo with the dash onto Lucy, and the kills coming in here as they force Skynet towards the point. And this time, it looks like they'll keep it.
Yeah, this time it looks like, looks golden there. Transcendence out from Novacast, just making sure that Skynet doesn't get any cheeky ideas about trying to hold on to point A. 5 minutes and 30 seconds about for 8 of Clubs to try and capture out this second point. Looking quite good. JoJo definitely making good usage of this blade. Not going to have it for this next fight, but Overnight Coder with that tire at the ready will have the opportunity to open up this fight.
Oh, the Valkyrie all could have been used by TechSoup, but instead get taken out. Riptire by Overnight Coder to try and keep things in the favor of 8 of Clubs. Popped out of the mech is Hobbs, as Watchful One just trying to keep the pressure on, having to come back in here and just try and res. Eventually will be TechSoup, more than likely. Hasn't popped the Valkyrie all yet. Instead, Lucy using the Transcendence to keep the players up on the point. Self-destruct thrown onto the point. Here does find one by a Hollywood Simpson, and JoJo with the dash getting onto another. Lucy taken down. TechSoup still has that Valkyrie, and that's one of the problems here, but kills starting to come back in favor on the side of Skynet, and they should clear things off here, but a tick taken by 8 of Clubs.
Yeah, a good fight for 8 of Clubs there in that last point. Unfortunately, Captain Crunch swapping onto that Soldier 76, not able to get focused down by 8 of Clubs in time. He did eventually get sent packing back to respawn, but not before he cut down both of 8 of Clubs' support players. So you can't sustain that fight on the second point of any assault map without your healers at the ready. But 8 of Clubs, they still have time to make this happen.
Couple of defensive ults, though, very close here for 8 of Clubs. We'll see if that comes into play. TechSoup with the Valkyrie as well. Watchful One getting the initial pick here, but going back to get Novacast back up was Whack T, so both supports still in this one. Self-destruct thrown in the air by a Hobbs, and it won't find anything, but the kills coming in here by the Skynet defense at least forced enough, as another retreat here by 8 of Clubs.
Yeah, another full reset for 8 of Clubs. They have to be careful that they don't get caught into this cycle of relying on ultimates in order to win out the fights, because Skynet seems to always consistently have the advantage in terms of ultimate generation. We do see JoJo swapping onto the Reaper yet again. He really seems to prefer this DPS character, so it's going to be up to his tanks to knock those defenders off of the high ground, put them in range for those Hellfire shotguns so JoJo can get to work.
Shushi the one on the Tracer now, and you have Captain Crunch on the 70. That should change at least for the DPS. Use the Transcendence to get onto the point by Novacast. TechSoup using the Valkyrie ult, so they've got one defensive ult out. Riptire coming in here, needs some value out of it though for this side of 8 of clubs, and the self-destruct both doing T using the Valkyrie ult to continue and pushing on. They are getting close to that second tick, but jumping on is the Winston, and TechSoup just trying to use to keep up his team. But this should be a good position here if they can get the eliminations on the side of 8 of clubs. But coming in are the respawns for the side of Skynet. Hobbs now watchful one. The Danks getting involved here, and popped out of the mech is Hollywood Simpson as the retreat happens again, and they don't get the second tick for 8 of clubs, Ham.
Oh, that's going to be very unfortunate. That was so incredibly close. The fight looking really good, but once the Mercy got back onto the field for Skynet, 8 of clubs just not quite able to focus her down fast enough. And now they'll be running into this next engagement empty on ultimates. Once again, they'll have to contend with Captain Crunch's tac visor. That's going to be deadly for any of the squishies in the backline. So Hollywood Simpson gonna have to watch out, make sure that she has the peel on the ready to keep the backline safe. Ooh, but that's a great pick from Overnight Coder. Oh no, Rez back out. That was a good window of opportunity.
The good thing is they get the res out, but the kills come in, following up after it for the side of Skynet, and forcing back one more time 8 of clubs, just hiding here in the corner. Nobody's seeing him yet. Is Joe, and he does manage to find a kill onto Lucy before he gets taken down himself. So they do force one ultimate out, but the defensive ult from Lucy close, and you still have that Valkyrie ult. So still things in favor of Skynet, especially when you look at the ult economy.
Yeah, things are looking difficult for 8 of clubs, but Overnight Coder with this tire, he could change the field of battle if he can pick one of the supports in the backline, force some resurrections out from TechSoup early on, or even pick the Mercy. That would be the best target for this ultimate. At least Novacast will have that Transcendence on hand to provide some sustain for his team, some time for them to pick up the necessary frags.
Timing of this Riptire is going to be important here. Self-destruct thrown in, doesn't get anything. As getting taken out, though, was Overnight Coder, but he gets quickly rezzed right back by Wack T. Still having a chance here to use that Riptire, holding onto it still. Watchful one, dealing the damage in as Winston now will jump in with the Rage. Out comes both defensive ults from the side of 8 of clubs. They're trying to make this their last stand with 15 seconds left to go. Lucy with the counter, sound barrier coming in, and of course the Valkyrie used by TechSoup to keep everybody up on the point. And it's just a matter of how these other ults are going to be used by the side of 8 of clubs. Still holding on to it. Death Blossom only gets one, but it gets out the Lucio. Shushi and Captain Crunch still dealing damage in. Self-destruct coming out, and it does manage to get one. Riptire coming in from Overnight Coder, going up the pole here as that count still starting to build. Gets the kill onto Captain Crunch. Lucy back on here now. Have to get the rest of the team here. Good res by TechSoup, coming back onto the point, but forced back. Very close here. Staying on the point for a second as we're in the overtime counter. Do the respawns come back in time? It looks like here they'll be able to clear off. Self-destruct thrown onto the point to try and force everybody off by Hobbs. It gets the kills needed. And there you go. Round one complete, 1 point. But they were so close, the 8 of clubs, to getting all the way and getting that second point.
So incredibly close, 97% capture progress, so not bad at all for 8 of clubs. That was an incredible amount of sustain for them on their attacking phase. We saw several times they got so close to finishing out the map. They were able to wipe the defenders, but that single member from Skynet able to stall for long enough for those defensive respawns to come back. But given the dominance that Skynet showed on Hollywood, perhaps they're falling asleep a little bit at the wheel, maybe not taking 8 of clubs quite as seriously as they should, because this team, even though some of the small, finer details might still need to be polished up, they are here to play. And now Skynet will have to basically capture out both points of Lunar Colony in order to take this map.
What would you say is the biggest thing you need to see from 8 of clubs? To me, it seems like maybe their alt usage, and just that's usually communication of when to use alts and to coordinate alts at certain times too. That seems to be the biggest thing holding them back at this point.
Yeah, we saw that sometimes not able to combo those ultimates for the best effect. Oftentimes you saw the DPS players holding on to their ults for a considerable amount of time, trying to wait for the perfect scenario to unleash them for maximum damage. But what ended up happening was they would get some member of their team would get picked early and they would choke on that ult and be forced to save it for yet another fight, times 17 or so, and now there's no more time on the map. But if 8 of clubs can get their coordination down, especially in terms of target focus, for example, if JoJo has that Death Blossom on hand, everybody from 8 of clubs focus down that Diva mech so the Reaper can spin to win. That's what they need to see, and I hope to be able to see a little bit more of that teamwork here on defense.
Spin to win takes me back to my League of Legends days playing as Garen, and we'll see what they can do here if they can get those Death Blossoms in the correct situations. Quickly pushing along the left, using the Lucio boost to get around to the left, trying to get onto the point, but that's okay because that's what they want as far as 8 of clubs, as far as this comp. Diving in is Watchful One, doesn't get anybody with it on the charge as the fight happening here on the point. Nobody with the fall yet. Shushi will get whacked T, so the Mercy gone. Watchful One with Overnight out of the way here early, as looking good so far, at least for the moment, for Skynet if they can force 8 of clubs off of this point, and that's what they'll do here, having to hold back as 8 of clubs. Good hook by Shushi as he gets a second kill here, and a third as they will take this first point very quickly.
Yeah, Skynet going to be running that quadruple tank Dallas Fuel Moira Lucio composition. You got that massive burst healing for all of your tanks. Lucy actually already has this coalescence in hand for the next fight. Comboed with Tex Soup's speed, you just move all that meat onto the objective and refuse to move. Now 8 of clubs going to be pulling out the Bastion. This is a very interesting strat. I hope it pays off because this is a very unusual pick. No!
Coalescence used here early on in the quick res coming in for Whack T, but the pick's still coming for the side of Skynet as they try to get this Bastion down. Earthshatter used, doesn't have to be used though anyways because the Bastion went down before it. Just JoJo on the point now. Looks like they're going to snowball onto here. Everybody on the point, and Shushi using the whole hog to keep everybody in the spawn, and they get this map quickly here on attack as they win this one 2-1.
2-1. Skynet will be taking Horizon Lunar Colony with style. Watchful again. Beautiful charge, takes that Bastion out of the fight immediately, and unfortunately that was the linchpin of 8 of clubs defense, and with that DPS gone for the side of the defense, there just wasn't anything 8 of clubs could do against the tide of beef coming in from Skynet.
Yep, and the quad tank working once again. And one thing I wanted to point out, Ham, you were talking about alt usage earlier, and Wayne Gretzky, the very famous NHL player, Hall of Famer, considered the greatest hockey player of all time, had a good saying: 100% of the shots not taken don't go in. And when it comes to ultimates, it's kind of the same thing, right? 100% of the alts not used don't do anything, so use those alts, don't hold on to them. Pimp, it's been a pretty good first 2 maps here for the side of Skynet, and how about your thoughts?
Yeah, the first map I saw 8 of clubs, and I really thought, they were going to be turning, have a little bit of a better game in the second map. It looks like everyone's experiencing a black screen. Sorry, guys. I get a little distracted there. But I thought, they would have done a little bit better on this map. They were so close, I feel like, on Hollywood that, they had a shot. But, I mean, just right there, it could have just been the power of that composition, that quad tank composition that we've seen Dallas Fuel run so many times on Horizon. It's just so effective, and I don't think that teams at this SR range are really experienced with it as much because, they're used to normally the 2 tank, 2 healer situation, or 2 DPS. So the 2-2-2 that we've seen for the most part, since Dive has been big right now.
Yeah,
yeah, I know my team back like a year ago when quad tank was kind of a thing, when Anna was still around. We have experienced with that a little bit. I mean, mainly it was triple tank, but there was still some quad tank. But, this kind of quad tank, I don't see it at this. We're all in plat and I play comp. I don't see this ever happen. I've seen it suggested once, so I don't think anyone was expecting that to happen.
Yeah, no, playing quad tank or, any kind of death ball, both you personally running that or that composition or playing up against it requires a considerable amount of teamwork, right? So dive, a lot of those DPS heroes very bursty. So if you're as an individual player significantly skilled enough, you can take care of the issues yourself. But with Death Ball, you're relying on a lot of these hero abilities, shielding, bubbles, so on and so forth, and you have to navigate this entire field of all these abilities, really out mind game the enemy team. And unfortunately, that didn't quite come to fruition for Eight of Clubs this time.
Yeah, unfortunately, but we still got 2 maps left in this series. We still got to play on Control, and we got to play on Escort. So we're going to be waiting for the pick coming out of Ada Clubs for Control. But until then, I just want to remind you guys, or actually not remind you guys, I just want to mention to you guys that this stream is brought to you by Amateur Esports Organization, as well as one of our partners, Broadcast.gg, is bringing you all the casters and producers you'll be seeing on this channel. If you're a caster or producer, you want to get involved, in the esports of Overwatch, you can head over to broadcast.gg. The Discord's actually discord.me/broadcastgg. You can join there. It doesn't matter what skill range you are. We have some of the pros in the Overwatch League in the Discord as well. Amateur Esports Organization. We just rebranded. You can follow us here on Twitch, and also on Twitter and YouTube. AEO_GG. And if you want to go to our Discord, it's discord.gg/AEO. So, I know Ham and Lebowski are both in Broadcast GG, so the experience has been great. They stream pretty much consistently every day around the same time for the North American series, trying to get some of European games in there. But on the AEO side, it's funny saying AEO now. But we're also going to be bringing an event tomorrow called Monday Madness. It's a continuation of Overwatch University League's Midweek Madness, where players will sign up by themselves. It's a pug event, so you'll sign up, and we'll try to average out the SR ranges of teams, so they're pretty equal, and it's easy, simple as that. You just sign up and play with a random team that we compile for you. As well as on Tuesdays. Yeah, and on Tuesdays, we're also going to be having another event where it's a combination of teams and players, or groups of players can sign up. So this way you can maybe find teams, or you can test out players. So we're going to be calling it Tryout Tuesdays. And if you want to join, like I said, you can go to our Discord, discord.gg/AEO. Should be here in the channel description, I believe. If not, you can go to our website, amateuresportsorganization.com. But looks like we do have the map pick coming from Ada Club's Ilios. So we'll be seeing a lot of Orisa Hog in some of these games. You guys think we're going to see that again on Ilios, especially well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
I think so.
sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to plug Broadcast GG once again. A great organization. I can't say enough good things about them. If you are interested in any aspect of esports broadcasting, be it casting, producing, observing for any of the games, we don't have just Overwatch. We have League of Legends, even some Hearthstone casters, Rocket League. Feel free to come and join our community. We are all about giving newcomers, those hungry young esports talent, the resources and community to build up experience and their portfolios. So I don't know if can we drop the link in chat? I'll do it later if that's possible. But yeah, so Broadcast GG, 2 thumbs up.
It's a lot of fun. There's not just that, it's just a good community in general, too. There's a lot of good discussions that happen. Generally, on Overwatch League days, you can jump into the Discord and go into the general chat, and there will be usually a good group of people watching and talking and just having fun while those games are going on. So if you're not doing anything on those days, it's good for that as well, because you learn not only about, we don't just talk about the casting that's happening, but the Overwatch being played as well. So just a good time. Good way to learn, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, we're going to be taking a short break. We're having a little bit of issues with our technical end, so we'll take a little short break, and we'll be back, and we'll see the Ilios, the map pick from Ada Clubs. So we'll take a short break. Be right back, guys. Hello and welcome back. It looks like we should have fixed our technical issues. If not, just drop a message in the chat and we'll get to it as soon as possible. This is a 2-minute delay, but we are going to be bringing you to Ilios. So it looks like we are going to Well first. So as I talked about before, Orisa Hog and Well, something I'm going to expect from both teams probably. What about you guys?
Well, I don't know. I think expect the unexpected, right, Pam?
That's right. I think who that's a very famous quote. I think Jesus said that or something, but you're right. Expect the unexpected. Maybe it's time for 8 of Clubs to bring out, Joe on the Symmetra. You never know. It's a controlled area. She can get a lot of value out of that microwave beam. No, Joe, don't disappoint me like that. Looks like he'll be going back to that cyborg ninja, but no surprises for 8 of Clubs, going to be looking to make full usage out of the environmental kills. You have the Roadhog, Orisa, Lucio, they're looking for some of those fat drops into that well.
Hopefully so. We always enjoy when we get to see people get dropped in. Unfortunately, no Toby, so nobody's being sacrificed to the boop god. But the boops are always fun, and Lucy has been showing off some really good ability, too, on those support characters as both teams make their way towards the control point here. And we do see the Orisa on one side and the hook coming in as Mammoth dropping that in, and 8 of Clubs with a good start here as Hobbs is out of the picture.
Hobbs is out of the picture, but so is Money Hunter. The Mercy's out of the game for the side of 8 of Clubs, but Watchful trying his best to dive that backline, but he was completely alone with the loss of his off-tank Hobbs. So it looks like it's actually going to be a pretty smooth first cap for 8 of Clubs.
And some good work by Novacast as well, taking out Captain Crunch with the left click, but not only that, using the halt to get the Mercy into the well, and nobody was able to get to the Mercy to help her use her Guardian Angel to get out.
Yeah, Mercy is at the mercy of the positioning of her teammates. Unfortunately, nobody from Skynet left around to try and save her there, but they're going to have another engagement, but no! Oh my goodness, Mammoth Gamer is going huge with these hooks, drops Watchful one yet again, and that poor Winston is really going to be regretting his aggressive positioning.
Oh, Mammoth again with another one onto Hobbs. Hobbs has just been decimated by Mammoth Gamer. Overnight Coder only getting one with the visor, but that's all they need as they're already up to 40% here. Mammoth trying to get another one there onto the cowboy running away in Shushi, but wasn't quite able to do it. That's not very cowboy-like, Shushi. Cowboys don't run away. They go in and they go and they win.
They go howdy and take their death like men. I'm just kidding. Shushi, though, will be looking to see if he can bring some death. High noon, going to be looking to tell 8 of Clubs what time it is, but he's going to have to get past this Orisa barrier first. But more likely is he's going to have to worry about that hook coming out from Mammoth as the dive comes in, and already, oh no, Hobbs manages to find Mon Hunter, and so this is actually might be an opening for Skynet.
Joe with the Dragon Blade here, though, gets the Mercy, gets Shushi, and his team following up on the rest. You do have what looks like a loss there of the Orisa Novacast after getting hit by the Primal Rage, but Watchful one going down soon afterwards. And Mammoth and the rest of his team that's left still holding on here. Some good work as they're already to 92.
Ooh, good work. Skynet is going to be sweating right now. 96, 97%. They have to put a toe on this point to at least start overtime, and there we go. But you can't just sustain on this point. You're going to have to, oh no! Shushi giving Mammoth a taste of his own medicine as the Graviton Surge is out from Hobbs. But where is the capitalization? It's actually going to be the Lucio. Lucy getting a 2K for himself, showing up in the kill feed, representing all of those bloodthirsty support DPS in all of us. And in the 25th hour, Skynet going to be able to bring this back from the brink of a loss.
Hollywood Simpson tried to escape there, gets staggered a little bit, but not too big of a stagger. This is still something that, for when you look at it, for 8 of Clubs, they only have to win one fight, Ham, in order to get this back.
Mm-hmm. They're going to have the tools to do it as well. Overnight Coder has that tack visor in hand, and Joe very close to his Dragon Blade. They have the time, though. Skynet only at 20%. If they can draw out a couple of these ultimates, they'll be golden for their next push. And Shushi already down from a boop from Hollywood Simpson.
And now Mammoth using the whole hog to push his team forward. Gets a kill too onto Biohazard with it. And Watchful 1 as out comes Overnight Coder using the visor to clean up the other two. They should swing this right back in the overtime ticker coming down here. Will anybody be able to get back? Shushi on Roadhog probably not going to be able to. Watchful 1 jumps, but it's not in time. And point number 1 goes to the 8 of clubs.
Oh man, 8 of clubs, despite the nearly 500 SR difference, they are showing signs of life, yet they're here to play, not going to roll over and fall dead at all. Skynet, perhaps, getting a little bit too comfortable with their early lead. They still have more maps to play, and 8 of clubs are bringing the thunder. Mammoth, just incredible hook accuracy.
Glad you're here with us on AEO, and I have one question for you, Ham. Why wasn't Mammoth Gamer on the hog sooner?
That is the question. 8 of clubs obviously have a preferred hero composition, and they run it beautifully. Now, they'll look to see if they can have a same repeat performance on Ruins, though. This is a slightly different map, definitely favors that long-range damage, as we do see Skynet bringing out Shushi's Widowmaker once again.
Novacast onto the Reinhardt this time. We'll see if these differences make how it goes. Watchful 1 on Orisa. Quick taking out Hollywood Simpson with the kill there, but Shushi will find Monster Hunter, who is on the Mercy. So kills trading back and forth on either side, but the Mercy's still up on the side of Skynet. See if that makes the difference. But the point first going to the 8 of clubs, as walking back, having to retreat, even with a couple of picks from Shushi as he gets Novacast. And going back are Skynet.
Yeah, we see Jojo Joe camping that right side high ground, trying to make sure that Shushi can't set up comfortably without worrying about a reflected shot to the dome. He's going to have to watch out, though, for this Widowmaker. Shushi has been extremely deadly on this hero. But for now, 8 of clubs sitting at 25% and counting. Skynet can't just rely on the picks from Shushi in the backline. They have to make sure that they have bodies on the point to capture this.
We're seeing Captain Crunch now on the Genji here to try and counter Hunter, and now Captain Crunch dealing some damage on the Genji as well, forcing back the 8 of clubs. So this point will switch, but not after 45%, building up to here so far for the side of 8 of clubs. So not a bad first take, but as far as ults go, neither team with one yet, but Novacast very close to a Earth Shatter.
Yeah, Novacast very close to that big tank ult. We actually see Mammoth swapping onto the Diva this time around, perhaps to better dive the Widowmaker. Shushi definitely forcing the sightlines for 8 of clubs. Maybe should have forced a little bit more. Jojo not respecting the Widowmaker's sight there, and now Shushi's gonna have full range to go ham here, trying searching for that Mercy pick, not going to be able to find it. But regardless, 8 of clubs have been holed up in their choke as the Earth Shatter comes out, but the Transcendence is ready to keep Skynet alive. However, Overnight Coder here with that huge tack visor manages to pick out Biohazard. That is crucial. No more sustain, no Valkyrie for Skynet at all, and 8 of clubs have the body, have the point presence here to make the flip.
And Captain Crunch only got one with the Dragon Blade, and now Jojo Joe he'll get one, but his team will follow up on a couple of the swipes he took. They will get this right back as they now build to 48%, 54% where it's at right now for the team in blue in Skynet. Shushi coming back up ahead to try and deal some early picks as his team comes back as well as they push forward past the blocks here.
We do see that Hobbs has picked up the Winston, perhaps getting a little bit more tickle damage in on those squishy backline, but it's going to be a big Earth Shatter out for Watchful here. But the sound barrier is out. Holy Simpson making sure his team is feeling the beat as a big ultimate showdown goes here on point. Diva Bomb not going to be picking up anything, but the Valkyrie has been forced from Biohazard. For now, though, trades going fairly back and forth. Very difficult to call this fight as of yet.
And coming with the Valkyrie into his Monster Hunter. Shushi finding the shot as Skynet gonna hold on to the point here, but it's built up to 94%, maybe 96. Nope, 95 is where it is, so 5% to go. What a pick, making that Valkyrie ult from Monster Hunter useless, Ham, and now you're in a very tough spot too if you're the side of 8 of clubs.
Yeah, 8 of clubs going to have a couple more chances here. Skynet just now reaching 70%, but they have the Blade, they have that Primal Rage, and they have that Earth Shatter. Watchful's been so incredibly deadly, but right off the bat, Captain Crunch going to be diving into the back line, picking up 2 immediately for his troubles.
And there was that Dragon Blade, like you said, and now you have the ult here, maybe an ill-advised Earth Shatter used by Novacast, who gets taken down. So no follow-up there. A very questionable Earth Shatter used, as the only one left here right now was Mammoth Gamer, and he goes down. Team coming in, Dragon Blade used here. Jojo trying to get him, but Shushi with 2 picks. Big and important, and it looks like Skynet will force this to a third map as the attack visor by Overnight Coder doesn't even get to get used. Trying to come back in to res him, but quickly going down, as it's just a matter of clearing the point here for the side of Skynet. Just trying to keep this going is 8 of Clubs, but it's just a matter, it's academic now. As they finally do, we'll get ourselves a 3rd point.
Oh, Skynet showing that, you know, they got slapped, and now they're awake. Ruin's going to be going the way of our blue team, tying things up here 1-1. You saw kind of when the cards were on the table, 8 of Clubs falling back to those old bad habits. The lack of coordination from their staggers onto point. Jojo had that Dragon Blade in hand, and he's been so incredibly deadly with them when he has the support of his team. But unfortunately, maybe the communication wasn't there. He still had a couple of seconds. Maybe if he could have waited for that Mercy, could have waited for that Reinhardt a little bit longer, things might have turned differently for 8 of Clubs.
They're going with a merciless comp here for 8 of Clubs on this final point here. They're going to have the Moira instead with a Lucio. So very interesting choices here for the support, Ham.
8 of Clubs with this heavy composition and that speed boost, likely going to be looking to take this objective first off, force the attackers to come and face them on their own terms, which is what is happening here. But, oh, they may be regretting that as Shushi picks up Overnight Color right off the bat. You really need that Bionade to try and keep the supports healthy here in this backline, as Skynet is working through all of those bubbles, all of the shielding that 8 of Clubs has.
Skynet, Lucy able to find the boop on the Monster Hunter, as well as the kills coming in for Skynet, but they still need to clear off the tanks that are left onto the point. Respawn starting to come back. Jojo still dealing damage out on this Reaper, very low here, getting a little bit of help, but Captain Crunch with the Pharah getting some damage and a self-destruct thrown in, but a good use of the bubble by the Winston and Watchful One. It's just a matter of time now before they are the first ones to take this 3rd and final point and start to build a percentage.
Yeah, really unfortunate that 8 of Clubs wasn't able to win out that initial fight, because all of that poke damage has allowed Skynet to capture 3 of their ultimates, going to be Pulse Bomb and Sound Barrier, and Captain Crunch just a second away from getting that barrage as well. That Pharah ultimate could absolutely shut down any push before it even starts. 8 of Clubs going to have to be bringing their umbrellas, keeping their eyes to the sky.
Only ultimate on the side of 8 of Clubs is Coalescence. They do have a couple of other ult close, but you have 5 up and almost back to the Valkyrie ult for Biohazard. So almost the full 6 here. Just see how they use these. Is going on to the point are a couple of the players here. And so far, the early start of the fight going in favor of 8 of Clubs. Self-destruct thrown onto the point here to try and find somebody. It finds 2 for Hobbs, who needs Calvin. Watchful One with the follow-up kill afterwards on the Primal Rage. And then finally, Hobbs there sending off the counterpart diva in Mammoth Gamer for a very good hold here, 53%.
Yeah, 8 of Clubs assassinating the Moira. Novacast able to laser that Pharah out of the air, and that was the signal to go for 8 of Clubs, but unfortunately nobody expects the Diva self-destruct. Hobbs coming in huge, saving that point for his team, and crucially, Captain Crunch went down so early in that fight, still gonna have that barrage coming in next.
And they have the Valkyrie, but they're able to steal the point away as 8 of Clubs, built up to 72% though for Skynet. They are starting to get the kills here. Shushi finds the Soldier 76, rocket barrage from Captain Garage, most of it eaten up. Does manage to get Mammoth Gamer out of the mech, and that'll do enough as they will quickly take this back. Only 14% here. And Lucy getting Hollywood Simpson at the end for the stagger. This has been really good, Ham, from the side of Skynet. They've really come back on this 3rd point and had a strong showing so far, and they're close to taking this.
Yeah, they're close to taking it. 8 of Clubs have one more chance. They have 4 ultimates. As you said, don't let this go to waste. If you don't make the shot, you're never gonna make the basket, something like that. You said it much better. But they're going to have to contend with this Graviton Surge, going to catch out a lot of Skynet here as they try to combo it with the Death Blossom. Not going to be picking up too many kills with that for that Reaper, but in the meantime, Overnight Coder going to be doing all the work in that backline as 8 of Clubs managed to flip it at 97% to Skynet. This is actually really interesting usage of these off tanks. Have been Overnight Coder, despite the difficulty in finding space, as he doesn't have that shield to hunker behind in order to get that consistent damage in, still been doing a lot of good work for his team. So hopefully they'll be able to keep him safe as Skynet look to re-engage.
The one thing for Skynet, though, is they have the Valkyrie up here to try and retake. They also have both their tanks with ults as Hobbs throws it down into the hole again. This time, ready for it with Skynet as they were able to avoid everything. Captain Crunch coming on the side, gets 2 with the Rocket Barrage. Watchful 1 stomping onto another using the Primal Rage as Shushi will find 2 with his ultimate as well, as that was a great pulse bomb to take the point back here. And I don't know if anyone's going to be able to get back on the side of the 8 of Clubs as the ticker goes out, and it's a win, 3-0. It goes in favor of Skynet as they also not just take the map, but they will take this one with that 3-0 win.
Incredible DPS ultimates as we enjoy the play of game from Shushi on this Tracer. This man is so deadly on every single hero pick he has in his pool here. This will likely be that 2k Pulse Bomb. Captain Crunch with the 2 from the Barrage, 2 from the Pulse Bomb. It's a 2k, 2 ult, 2 for 1 deal today. And 8 of Clubs didn't bring their coupon clipper. They're going to be falling to the wayside as a Skynet 3-0ing the enemy team.
A very good showing, though, from 8 of Clubs there on the last map, Ham. Especially on the first 2 maps. That third one was really pretty heavily in favor of Skynet, but the first 2, they had a chance to force this to go to a 4th game. It was really close. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do it, but there seemed to be some improvements on that side of 8 of Clubs as we watched.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of improvement. Not to take anything away from 8 of Clubs, you saw that there was a lot of individual talent in these players, and it was just a matter of polishing up that team synergy a little bit, but they definitely had one of their strongest showings on Ilios. So as we move into Escort, just waiting for the teams to pick which map we will be taking you guys to, I'm hopeful to see even more vibe and vigor coming out from 8 of Clubs.
As far as Skynet is concerned, what were your thoughts? They were in a pretty tough position, especially in that second map. It was still 8 of Clubs favoring it. What was the difference for them and the second half of map number 2 and then map 3 that really got them back to being the team that we've seen in the first 2 maps? What was the biggest difference to you?
That's a really good question. I think that Skynet just showed a little bit more depth of flexibility, I might say, right? Shushi is a Widowmaker, not really getting a lot of picks, or he was getting the picks, but not really, there wasn't as much follow-up on the objective. So Skynet, turned their focus, right? So they put more attention on the front line, batting 8 of Clubs away from that Ruins point, which ended up in a win. And then coming into Lighthouse, I think the fact that 8 of Clubs persisted in running that shieldless composition may have hurt them a little bit, at least in terms of making room for their 76. They did have hit scan in the air to try and counter out that Pharah. And I thought that, maybe when 8 of Clubs was able to take that point away from Skynet, attacking with a Pharah, trying to push in is so much more difficult than holding the point defensively. But in the end, the drop bear, there's not an umbrella in the world that will save you from all of that hot justice. So Skynet, in the end, with the superior ultimate usage, was able to win out that fight, I think.
It's funny, we talked about how using the... It's also about timing for them. How do you know? It's one of those things. It's like it's very difficult to know when to use ultimates, especially if you're not communicating. I think communication, as far as ultimate goes, is maybe one of the most important things. And not always just looking. You're not going to get a quad kill every time, or things like that. 2 picks is still good.
That's right, yeah. And not just the number of picks, but who are you taking out of the fight, right? Was it a Mercy who who just popped Valkyrie. You know, that's a very high value target, even if it's, you know, a single kill for your Dragon Blade or something like that. You know, even trading ultimates, you pulled the blade, force out the trance, then you know you can go in with that Graviton Surge in the next fight and, you know, not have any kind of resistance for that ult. So it's all this mind gaming and comboing, which is a really good point.
And now you have some more changes here as far as what we're seeing. We're going to see the Orisa on Watchful 1 this time, as just about ready for the doors to open up here, about 10 seconds away from it. And 8 of Clubs, we're seeing a little bit similar to what we saw before. They're going to have a Doomfist. They're also going to have this time, instead though, they're going to have the Cowboy in McCree.
Yeah, JoJo's going to be looking to duel out Shushi with his own Cowboy here. Skynet setting up on that very popular high ground holding point. No flankers from 8 of Clubs, no traditional flankers at least, as Mammoth this time will be on the Doomfist. This guy also seems to have a very deep hero pool. If he can get into the backline, find an early pick, that'll definitely help his team, but he does have to worry about getting caught out, getting flashed by Shushi and going down early.
And Shushi will find JoJo to start off here. So the McCree duel in favor right now. Retreating back here, waiting for the rest of their team. Captain Crunch almost gets taken out by Mammoth Gamer, but able to use the recall in time to get away, as that would have been a good pick to start to go on as everybody's back. Novacast pushing his way in. Mammoth Gamer missing there with the charge of the right click, and Hobbs will take him out. Hobbs has been finding a lot of kills here. That is one Tiger who really is showing that he is more than just a stuffed animal.
Absolutely. You should fear this plushie. He's not just Bark, he is also Bite, as he helps bring down Novacast in collusion with Shushi and Skynet. Look at this ultimate generation. The High Noon and Pulse Bomb already online, and the Graviton Surge, one of the most crucial ultimates in the game, already nearly at 90% for Hobbs. So 8 of Clubs will likely be looking for a couple of eco pushes, draw out a few of these ultimates before they commit their own.
Like you said, 2 ultimates for the side of Skynet, 1 for the side of 8 of Clubs as they follow behind Novacast as he comes forward with the shield. Hobbs dealing the damage out, trying to build up charge on that Zarya as there's the halt used. Doesn't get anything, but takes that shield lower. Mammoth Gamer now on the Genji, by the way, looking to come in. Uses the Reflect to get inside and quickly withdraws. They start to move this payload a little bit here, trying to get through that choke. Shushi will pop Hollywood Simpson out. Graviton Surge coming in. Counter used, but Captain Crunch threw in the Pulse Bomb to get 2. And just retreating back here is the player who subbed in Wyattron. But it's not going to matter, as they're going to have to regroup. It's the side of 8 of Clubs.
Yeah, an impressive hold for Skynet. All they used was that single Graviton Surge in that defense. Well, actually, I take that back. Captain Crunch also threw in the Pulse Bomb to great effect. He even killed himself. That's incredible. That's a 3K, man. I think that's how kill-death ratios work. But
sure.
Yeah. Skynet, though, do have to give up a little bit of space, but they've been holding so far up. They have considerable amount of distance to back up before they re-engage. However, with that great Deadeye, even the Reflect coming in, the Genji helping out JoJo win out that duel. Despite all of that good work, though, 8 of Clubs still struggling to get any kind of distance in the face of this supercharger from Watchful.
The Valkyrie out, the great equalizer. Even though you had those 2 kills by a Reflect Deadeye and a Deadeye, get canceled out because you have the Mercy ultimate that brings them both right back. So something that looked good for 8 of Clubs, Ham, ends up being nothing. And they still have 3 ultimates. They still have a chance here. But how hard is it? They have to try and get out that Lucy ult on the Zenyatta, don't they?
Yes, they have to make sure that Mammoth comes in with great patience, waits until that trance is out, but no, Nano Boost already on that Genji. Grandma has given him the juice, but it's not going to help him find the kills against that 300 HPS coming out from the Zenyatta. Diva Bomb even thrown on top of the payload as overtime is wearing down. Novacast does manage to find a Fire Strike kill onto Lucy, but that's only going to be one support down, but now two. Novacast swinging his hammer to great effect. This Reinhardt going ham, and in the 11th hour, AEO Club look like they might be able to eke out a point A.
They get everybody off the card except for one last player trying to get him off, and Captain Crunch, who just stayed alive forever. It seemed like not quite enough time, though, for his team to get to the payload, but they do get the point. One good thing that happened, Ham, was even though they used those ults early, it forced out the ultimates on the side of Skynet, and now they actually have an ult economy advantage for AEO Clubs here.
That's right. AEO Clubs built up a considerable amount of ultimate charge in that last fight. Skynet will have that Graviton Surge. A lot of team wiping potential, but it'll rely entirely on the capitalization from those team members. AEO Clubs, though, have to be careful that they don't get caught here at the choke once again, as has happened to them in previous maps. But, oh no, poor Novacast holding his shield with all his might, but as a slow Reinhardt, he just wasn't able to quite hop back fast enough to protect his backline. This Tracer just ran behind him, and that is going to be that fight done and dusted.
A major stagger coming here as well. The fight started off too, Ham. You had getting picked off by Shushi right away was Jojo. So Jojo wasn't even in at the start of that fight, came back late. These picks by Shushi, how important are they for what Skynet does?
They're incredibly important. I mean, Skynet is such a multi-threat team, but Shushi has been one of their heaviest carriers. This guy's trapezius must just be enormous from carrying his team. I'm not kidding. Like, that last stagger onto Jojo cut so much time off of the clock for AEO Club. They're down to less than a minute now. They have 6 ultimates in hand, but they need to transfer those ultimates from the pantry into their mouths. Otherwise, all of that good food is going to be worthless.
The Captain Crunch combo only gets one this time onto Overnight Coder, as Hollywood Simpson able to find 2. Biohazard coming in using the keep this team in this fight, trying to get that other res on the Captain Crunch does, and that'll be how the Convalescence and the rest of the ults are used here on both sides. And even though there was a lot of ultimates on their side, so far not so good from the side of AEO Clubs. The self-destruct though gets 3 from Hollywood Simpson, and then Mammoth Gamer using the Dragon Blade to clean things up. They'll finally move this cart, but they're close to being in overtime again. So just when it looked like they might have been out of it, big self-destruct, Ham, and now they're moving this cart, but they still have a tough corner to get around.
They got a tough corner, but they got the tools. High Noon at the ready. Novacast with this Earth Shatter. Skynet have nothing to answer back except this damage bongo. So they need to focus this shield to open up the way for Jojo, who pops this High Noon, but it's not going to do anything if he can't find the sightlines. And there we go. It's going to be a 2K for that Cowboy, and AEO Clubs aren't out of the fight quite just yet.
Lucy getting charged into by Novacast, so one of the supports down on the other side. You already had the Mercy. Have to stay on the payload, though, is the important thing here. Novacast jumping back. Captain Crunch trying to do damage from behind as takeout was Hobbs, and now it's just Captain Crunch, the only one. Maybe enough time here for his team to come back in. Shushi on the Roadhog now, gets back in, has to use the take a breather right away, though. He's just stalling out on the card here, tries to pull in, but doesn't matter, too many players there. Lucy trying to get back in, but had to retreat on the Moira, as now they'll just group up instead here for Skynet and try to hold on this third and final point. 1:22 left to go. Great push, though, around the corner from AEO Clubs.
This is the point when Skynet needs to be careful. The momentum is all in favor of AEO Clubs. Just came into a nano boost and yet another Earth Shatter for Novacast. If you can get this payload around this third corner, there will be very little that Skynet can do to stop the progress of this cart. Captain Crunch has swapped onto that Junkrat now, and no, Novacast goes down early. They're not running a Mercy, so all deaths will be permanent. AEO Clubs, though, choosing not to disengage. They're going to try and continue this pressure.
Don't get anything out of it, but Wyatron able to get one kill on Sushi with the right click as they look to come in here. They use the ultimate, but countering it with the Graviton Surge by Hobbs, and that's a big ultimate, getting a lot of the ults out on the side of 8 of Clubs. You do now have the Valkyrie ult up for this final fight that'll be coming up, Ham, and that could be the really big difference here as we look into this last fight. What's going to be up?
Biohazard with the possibility of 2 resurrections to undo any of the good work that might be found with Novacast's Earth Shatter. Wyatron, though, will at least be able to keep his team up in fighting form with this Transcendence, but with 10 seconds left, everything is down to the line. Captain Crunch with this tire, 80%, 90% now. When will he choose to use it? 8 of Clubs now overtime ready, and Hollywood Simpson has lost his mech.
Valkyrie ult used here by Biohazard, quickly reses Captain Crunch, who, just like you said, used the tire, and he gets 2 with it, as now coming in to res Hobbs too to keep this team at full strength is Biohazard, and they clear off the point and put down the bongos for good measure. Not that it mattered as they get the stop here. 2 points taken, though, by 8 of Clubs, and they don't quite get around that turn on the 3rd point. Some good work, though. That 3rd point is always tough anyways, Ham, but it's still going to be a very tall task here for the side 8 of Clubs.
Yeah, 8 of Clubs, though, they got 62 meters just about, and given how that they pushed point A in overtime, they should feel pretty happy with this distance. However, it will be a mammoth hold for them if they manage to keep Skynet's attack at bay. You did see once again, unfortunately, Hollywood Simpson and Novacast died with both of their ultimates up, not able to find an opening to leverage that, and you can't save it for the next game, I'm afraid. So hopefully 8 of Clubs will see an opportunity, seize an opportunity.
So now you have very similar comp too, except it looks like they're going to go with the Bastion. Lucy on it right now, but might just be playing with our hearts. This is not a bad composition, though, to do. Pirate ship, whatever you want to call it, if that's what they end up deciding. And well, they have some interesting things with it, though, because they'll have a Junkrat and a Tracer as well. So a lot of damage going to be output by this comp, and this is what Skynet actually decides to go with.
Yeah, absolutely. A pirate ship, the Bastion, and Orisa guarding that payload full of booty through its path to the 3rd point on the map. Definitely a composition, a play style that we see most often on maps like Junkertown, even a little bit on Route 66. But if Skynet do choose to roll out with this, 8 of Clubs may just be caught off guard to their detriment. Removing the Bastion from the payload takes a lot of teamwork, so 8 of Clubs gonna have to play this very cautiously.
They do have some things, though, Ham, that could dislodge this. Well, you could also call it Protect the President, whichever one you want to call it. Pirate ship. Not the best use of the barrier there, though, so this is not going to be a good start as far as it goes, but they do have Lucy on there. They quickly take out that Orisa shield that's right back up. So winning that shield battle, of course, when you have a Bastion, very easy to do. That will force the team around here. As far as 8 of Clubs, as they still hang around as Overnight Coder, but not getting caught, thankfully. But that Bastion is asleep right now on the payload, but finally awakened. And now with a chance here to deal out that damage as the kills come in on the side of Skynet. As just doing work. That's 5 kills for Lucy on the Bastion.
That's right, Lucy. You take a nap. You have earned it. That is incredible coming out from this Bastion, utterly uncontested on that payload, getting all the heals and damage boost from Biohazard that he could possibly want in this life and the next. 8 of Clubs, though, you do see they have swapped onto the Reaper for Mammoth now, giving up on that Doomfist. A good choice as Novacast picks up his own Orisa. But Skynet have so much DPS here. 8 of Clubs have to be very careful. You can't play grouped up when there's a Bastion spraying 800 billion million bullets your way.
Yeah, is able to take out the only thing in front to stop him, this shield, but gets pulled off thanks to the halt. So we'll have to reposition Will Lucy. As right now, just trying to get some kills in. Jojo finally finding one, but tank mode enabled, and Lucy starts to deal out the damage. Valkyrie ult having to be used here. by Wyattron. We'll get the 2 reses in quickly to maybe swing things back in, but Biohazard says, no, I still have my ultimate. And this is going to go back in my favor because I used it after you. Back and forth here. Watchful One using the Transcendence just to keep things in favor. The card has stopped, though, even though everybody's up. So basically, Ultimate's been thrown around here, and not a whole lot happening as of yet. Still a lot of Ultimates, though, on the side of 8 of Clubs, but Lucy finding Wyattron, a big early pick here, and the cart continues to move.
Car's continuing to move, but JoJo on this sneaky flank, he has that High Noon. He just needs to get behind that Orisa shield in order to get the sight lines onto this Bastion, but he has to hurry. Oh no, I believe he gets sniffed out. Yes, Shushi, takes down the McCree. He was in such good position to save this defense for his team, but he gets cut down before he can get in position to use that ultimate. And now once again, 8 of Clubs with 4 ults to their name. Skynet rolling here on empty, but their vanilla Overwatch is too good, and they'll pick up point B with 5 minutes and change.
And Lucy has not really been touched on this Bastion so far, but you do have a lot of ultimates coming into this last fight. But we've seen they had 3 of these ultimates last fight, though. What is it? Why is it that they've been held on to for so long, Ham?
Just trying to go for the correct positioning as JoJo with escorted by Hazana outduels Shushi. This is the opening he needs to go. High Noon is ready here in the back as he tries to make his way behind this giant panel, which is obscuring his view, but he has to hurry. No. Unlucky. Lucy whips around and able to take out that McCree, but in the meantime, Hollywood Simpson lays that self-destruct onto the payload, and for now, Lucy is off the card, but that's only because he's busy blowing people's faces off with this tank ultimate.
Yep, tank mode has been able to buy the Bastion and Lucy back into the Sentry mode, trying to deal out the damage. Cranks out the Orisa. Has to try and take out White One, but JoJo was right there. And Wyattron, now one of the few left on, has to get somebody back on the part. Hollywood Simpson, the one who gets there, to at least force this back. As we have a Boostio on the card, but maybe that was just used to make sure that the Lucio could stay alive for the rest of the team to get back. Might end up being okay if they can hold on to this defense. They still have 3:48 to go, but that Bastion and Lucy gonna have to do some work to get back on, as you have the wall hacks used by Shushi to see everybody as JoJo and Shushi in a duel, and JoJo wins it, even though the wall hacks were on. What a flashbang!
What a flash that might have just saved this defense for his team. Now Skynet, 8 of Clubs going to be able to focus their attention wholly on that Bastion threat. But no, Wyattron goes down early. That's going to be no resurrections. He had the Valkyrie. The cart is only meters away from that golden box of victory, and no, Novacast trying to donate his body to the cause just gets gunned down before he even touches an enemy player. Now it's going to be up to just one lone small grandma to try and hold this point, and she's not going to be able to do it as Skynet win out map 4.
Talk about a good end of the game there. Wasn't sure how the Bastion, and Lucy could be used, but they went so hard, Ham, to keep that high ground. Just let Lucy set up above the payload and go to work, and that's exactly what happened. And with that spam coming out, you couldn't really get there. So good, really good decisions by Skynet, and here's almost the second stoppable kill. So close. If the sleep didn't happen, we would have seen a sextuple kill, but I think a quintuple is still pretty good.
Oh no, I don't count those unless it's a full 6 team wipe. So no, but you're right, Labosco. That was great intelligent play coming out from Skynet. 8 of Clubs trying their best to defend, but unfortunately when your enemy team is running that Bastion pick, you have to be that initiator. You can't just sit back and give up the distance, because like a Widowmaker, that Bastion, if you let them fire long enough, they're going to be finding those kills.
Some really good kills, and Lucy was a character that we had seen, a player that we had seen play only characters that were support up until that point as well. Lucy showing, though, pretty good aim, pretty darn good aim. I think if you look at that last map, that's the biggest thing, is Lucy on the Bastion.
Well, I don't think that it was just Lucy on the Bastion, was the only thing there. I mean, Lucy as Mora as well was doing great, and as you see a bunch of time Lucio, but I mean, it's almost like Lucy was the Harry Hook of this team, because in the time when they do run Pirate Ship for fuel, Harry Hook is usually on that Bastion, because he plays that soldier. So Yeah, interesting. If they were to run a map where they want, a map where Harry Hook usually is playing Soldier, if they would put Lucy on Soldier, if they were, it seemed like they're trying to mirror almost Dallas Fuel a bit. So,
Well, Lucy does have Dallas Fuel as the player icon
it does.
that
Yeah,
Lucy
I see
uses.
that.
So you
Yeah.
never know. Maybe they are very really big fans. But regardless, they get the win here. Skynet does against Eight of Clubs, Ham, and Pimp, and now they get to move on and continue here on this Sunday scrims. And I think they have to be happy with how they performed here, at least in their first match that they've had so far.
Yeah, and even though they did have the higher SR, almost 500, because they're like borderline diamond, where the other team was just barely into platinum. Adel Clubs didn't do a bad job. They were still keeping up. Especially, I think the first map they did really great, and then on Control, they took. I thought they were gonna take Control. They took the first map of Control pretty fast, and then the second one they almost had, but then it started going back to Skynet's way, going on with the rest of the series. And they won 4-0, but that doesn't really tell the story. And up next, they are going to be going up against the Choke Pokers, who won their series 4-0 as well. And just trying to look back at the SRs, the Choke Pokers was the second highest SR in this group. So this is the C bracket, as I said in the beginning. If you tuning in, sorry guys, if you're just tuning in, Scrim Sundays, we have a few different brackets based on the SR ranges, and the two top teams in this bracket, or two highest SR teams in this bracket, are going to be going to the finals. But before we get those players in the lobby here, we are going to take a short break, so stay tuned. We'll be back for the finals in this C bracket. So be right back, guys. Hello and welcome back to Sunday Scrims. We're bringing you the finals here from Bracket C. Joined with me again is Labasco and Ham Tornado, as they're laughing over there. And it's Ham Tornado. I always used to mess it up and say Ham Tomato, but it's not a double food item. It's just a single food item.
Yeah,
But ham and tomato goes well on a sandwich, so you at least were onto something pretty good.
I don't think ham and tornado goes good on a sandwich. So I don't like.
But tomato does.
I'm not much of a tomato guy, but anyway, let's go back to Overwatch and not the food. As we got Choke Pokers who won their series 4-0 going up against Skynet. We're gonna have Skynet on the defense here as we're going back to Hollywood as we saw as our first hybrid map of the series. Now. Hollywood, we did see a lot of sniping coming out from Skynet, and actually, their Widow is not here anymore. That was playing for the Skynet. They actually brought in a new player. I'm just gonna call this person 69.
You know what? Calling them 69 is probably better than probably make things.
It probably would be. But we're going to be in Hollywood. But before we go into that, I just want to remind everyone, this stream is brought to you by Amateur Esports Organization. We just rebranded, and you can go to our website, amateuresportsorganization.gg. I believe that's right. I might be messing that up, actually. It's actually just amateuresports.gg. Sorry about that. And our you can follow us here on Twitter and on YouTube at AEO_GG. And, of course, our Discord is discord.gg/AEO. And we're also brought to you by Broadcast GG. I'm a producer from there, and Labasco and Ham Tornado are some casters from there. It's a great community if you want to get involved in esports, not just Overwatch, but we also have so many different esports you can come in if you want to get involved with the production side of things, and if you want to cast as well. So you can hop over there, broadcast.gg. But let's bring this into its Hollywood here, because like I said, we got Skynet on the defense.
All right, thank you, Pimp. And now looking at it, Ham, here, that 4-0'd the teams that they played in the last round. We expect this to be a little bit closer than what we had seen previously. Not that it was a complete stomp, but the Choke Pokers seem to be like they might be a little bit more of a challenge here for Skynet.
Yeah, both of these teams were able to 4-0 their opponents, but with a considerable SR advantage coming into this matchup, they will be within tens of SR points. So I know SR doesn't matter, but, you know, it does. I'm just kidding. But you're right, Labasco. These are shaping up to be much closer games.
And we're seeing a little bit of a different look than what we had seen previously here. We have 69 now, as we were talking about, who had replaced one of the players that was on that we saw go off in Shushi. Yeah, so actually, yeah, both DPS. We also have Tech Soup as well playing on the Mercy, and Fantastic. So a lot of different players here, Ham. So we'll see what we end up seeing from Skynet this time as the Choke Pokers make their way up through to the choke point as they are going with a recent comp here.
Yep, and they will be poking indeed, going with this heavy shield tank in Minzy. Diaper Mafia, world's most amazing name, even better than Ham Tornado, I have to admit. Diaper Mafia going to be bringing up this Reaper 76 and already trying to make inroads on the point. Watchville, though, is there ready with the shield. There'll be a lot about the first picks as, there we go, both teams going 1-for-1 right off the bat.
Watchful 1 getting Diaper Mafia, so Reaper out of the way. That's a lot of damage, and that helped too to get out the tank. And Minzy, Tech Soup goes down for the side though of Skynet, but it's not going to matter when you only have Birdman there who's trying to retreat. But if they hurry here, maybe for Choke Pokers they can take advantage with the Mercy having to make their way back. And not really anybody can be afforded to go back and get the Mercy. But waiting here instead, it looks like for the moment, is the Choke Pokers. Fantastic getting pulled in there by the Hulk, but not going to be taken out as the Mercy does make the way back in Tech Soup.
Oh, Tube Trans out for Arkai already. The Moira with this Sieging Coalescence trying to open the road for his team here on the point. And there we go. The double wombo combo. Pulse Bomb from Birdman going to be supplementing Legend Rocks. 3k kill off of that D.Va self-destruct, and there is no counterplay for that. So with that dominant performance, Chokepoker's going to be taking an easy point A.
A lot of time here heading into the streets phase with 4:38 left to go as they open those doors up and start to get that cart to come around. But back into position here for the early defense is Skynet. So the one good thing about getting taken out so clumped together is that you at least get to group back up together, and 69 will get Birdman. So the Tracer v Tracer duel going to the side of Skynet here early on, as this is one of the players that they are trying out here. Big Earth Shatter by Watchful one again, but not enough follow-up afterwards. But Diaper Mafia does go down fantastic, and Lucy Fish following up there to throw things in favor of Skynet as they start to get things back going their way, and they stop it right after the choke. This is the area you want to stop it if you can, Ham, or that payload.
Yeah, absolutely. Skynet have been camping these aggressively at these choke points so much they should be paying rent, really. But Skynet ending up holding with 5 ultimates still to their name, only using that one Earth Shatter to stop the progress of Chokepokers. But this attacking team was coming in on empty. They're completely happy with the eco push, as Diaper Mafia has worked up to this Death Blossom, but no, he gets booped away. Regardless, though, he manages to find Tech Soup in the back. That's going to be no mercy and no defense for Skynet as they get wiped by the combination of that Death Blossom and Coalescence.
That has to be one that surprises a little bit, Ham, because with the alt economy so heavily in favor of Skynet, you thought that that was really their fight to lose, and that's what ended up happening.
Indeed, you saw just not quite able to leverage those ultimates to stay solid here. But they will have still more distance to try and re-stabilize. Watchful, though, goes down early. This has been one of the faults of this Reinhardt, maybe a little bit of over-aggression as he lives just to die again. Diaper Mafia takes him out. But in the meantime, the backline of Skynet trying to put in the work to stabilize right here. They don't want to give up any more space.
The Valkyrie out to counter the one used by Tech Soup here, as Skynet trying to get their defense going. Legend Rocks, though, will get the counterpart D.Va out, and that will allow for the follow-up, just trying to swing away as Watchful one, but it's not going to matter as the kills keep coming in for Chokepokers, as they have expertly used their ultimates to create opportunities for themselves, Ham, and now they're already going into the final point here of Hollywood.
Yeah, fantastic. Really having a hard time getting any kind of work done on this McCree once the tanks go down. That is one of the downsides of running this hit scan versus a Reaper on your own side, as Diaper Mafia, with the sustain he gets from damaging those chunky tanks, is able to keep himself up. He has a lot more sustain than a McCree, and he's going to be bringing yet another Death Blossom in this next engagement.
Birdman also with an ult. You do have 2 DPS ults on the side of Skynet. One already back up to his Earth Shatter, gets in front of the self-destruct and kills onto both Mercy, so it's a merciless fight here. It's all about which team can deal more DPS, and so far that looks to be the case for the side of Chokepokers as they get another team wipe here, and just retreating away is 69. As the cart continues to move into the final stretch here. One last defense, perhaps, for the side of Skynet.
Oh, but Arkai with yet another Coalescence trying to use it to wear down any of the defenders from Skynet, getting ideas coming out of this spawn, but there we go, Earth Shatter from Watchful. Trades going very back and forth as both teams brawling with all their might on this last third point. But despite the respawn advantage for Team Skynet, this Battle Bongo from Minzy doing so much incredible damage that the baby D.Va from Hobbs just not going to be able to stand up to all those bullets. Chokepokers finishing out round 1 with a solid 3 points.
Very good time bank too as well, Ham. When you look at this first attack from them, what is the thing that sticks out most to you? Because we just watched Skynet just decimate another team, and now we see the reverse happen to them. Of course, granted, different players in for them right now, but still, the drastic difference is still something major.
Yeah, definitely Skynet looking like an entirely different team here against Choke Pokers. The red team with an excellent ult cycling. You saw that the only time that they were really without a single ultimate to their name was after their point A push, when they really threw everything they had to break open that point. But from that moment on, they always had at least a couple in hand and were never down for the count, as Skynet was, so relying a lot on those vanilla kills. Fantastic, unfortunately, just not quite having as large of an impact on the game as he would like, but you do have to keep an eye out for those Skynet tanks. Watchful, sometimes getting perhaps a little bit over eager in wanting to swing that hammer, opening up the backline to a lot of damage. So that should be something Skynet will keep an eye out for as they move into their attacking round.
The one thing too I want to mention about that for Watchful, one made him so effective as that Reinhardt. Sure, he was aggressive, but his Earth Shatters had immense value, and he still got a lot of Earth Shatters, but he didn't get the value out of them that we saw last time. When you have an ultimate like that, how important is it? Is that one of the bigger differences too for him, is the fact that he wasn't getting that value? We're also going to see him switch to the Winston.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be one of the things that difficulties Watchful was facing in that last round, but as you pointed out, going for the dive tank this time around, going to be supplemented by 69 on that Genji. Choke Pokers with a couple of very vulnerable backline heroes. Arkai actually going to be on the Ana. The second time we've seen a defensive Ana this time around on Hollywood, and so as long as the dives can come out successfully, they may have a chance, but both tanks from this attacking side getting demolished right off the bat.
Yep, and Diaper Mafia able to just deal out the damage as the two, and the res by KLZ able to bring Birdman right back up, and you don't lose anybody, and you force the other team to retreat. The one good thing, at least for Skynet, they didn't get staggered super hard.
That is true. They engaged as one and died as one. Hobbs actually even manages to get that mech back in hand. Now Watchful back onto his trusty German engineer. He's going to be leading the team around this flanking point, instead going to attack the objective from this back side. But Choke Pokers are savvy to this plan. D.Va already running in, trying to go with the disruption, and Perfect gets Watchful to drop that shield, opened up the way for Arkai's nade, and Birdman once again with that 2K, shutting down the fight before it even begins.
And the Birdman using that pulse bomb got help actually from the Orisa, and Minzy used Halt as that bomb went on, and it actually pulled two players together, so they both